the untold truth about how the rich think. There's a truth you were never told in school, a truth they don't teach in textbooks or discuss in job interviews. And it's this: the rich don't just earn more money, they think differently about money in ways most people never even consider. You can have two people start from the exact same place, same education, same job, same paycheck. 10 years later, one is financially free. The other is still stuck in a paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Why? Not luck, not talent, not privilege, but mindset. Have you ever noticed some people get a raise and go deeper into debt? Others stay on the same salary but manage to build wealth quietly. Some chase every financial trend while the wealthy stay calm, consistent, and clear. It's not magic, it's not a trick. It's a completely different operating system, one the wealthy build in their minds long before the money shows up in their accounts. Wealth starts in the mind long before it shows in the bank. Before they had money, they had clarity. Before they had investments, they had conviction. Before they took action, they had the right beliefs. This video isn't about get-rich-quick hacks, crypto tips, budgeting apps, or trendy financial influencers. This is about something deeper, something permanent, something that doesn't change with the economy or the stock market. The 10 mindsets that quietly separate the wealthy from everyone else. PIN. In this video, you'll discover why value creation matters more than hard work, why the wealthy learn to earn, not just to know, how solving problems makes them money, why investing is a duty, not a luxury, how they think long-term in a short-term world, why they treat relationships as financial capital, why they play to win, not just to survive, why systems beat goals, emotional control equals financial power, and why ownership is their endgame. Each mindset will be broken down using real stories from the wealthy, from Warren Buffett to self-made silent millionaires, common mistakes that keep people stuck, practical shifts you can make, whether you're in college, freelancing, employed, or rebuilding from debt. Navigation. This isn't just a video, it's a blueprint for thinking like the wealthy. If you're tired of working harder and never getting ahead, if you've ever thought, maybe I'm just not meant to be rich, if you feel like no matter how much you learn, something is still missing, then it's time to rebuild your financial life from the inside out. No one is born with a wealth mindset. It's a decision. It's a daily discipline. It's a choice to think differently when everyone else thinks normal. So, grab your headphones, turn off the noise, and get ready to download the most powerful upgrade your financial life will ever receive: the way the rich actually think.
Mindset number 1, value over time. Why the rich get paid for impact, not hours. The first and most fundamental difference between how the rich think and how most people think is this: the rich get paid for the value they create, not for the time they spend. Let that sink in. Most people live in a world where time equals money. They believe, if I work 40 hours, I should get paid X. Their entire income is changed to how many hours they can sell per week. But the rich, they live in a completely different paradigm. For them, money is not a reward for time. It's a reward for results, for outcomes, for value delivered. The time trap. From childhood, we're taught to trade time for money. You babysit for $10 an hour. You bag groceries for $12 an hour. You take a salaried job and measure your worth in paychecks and promotions. This is the employee mindset, and it's a perfectly fine place to start. But it's a terrible place to stay if you want wealth. Because time is limited. You only have 24 hours a day. If your income is directly tied to your time, then your income will always be limited no matter how skilled you are. And the real kicker? You can work harder and longer than everyone you know and still be broke. What the rich know that others don't. The wealthy escape the time trap by asking a different question. How can I create more value for more people in less time? They stop thinking like laborers. They start thinking like creators. They ask, what problems can I solve? What skills do I have that others are willing to pay for? How can I use systems, technology, or teams to scale my impact? They move from selling time to selling outcomes, being replaceable to being essential, chasing jobs to creating value that jobs depend on. Real-life example, the consultant versus the freelancer. Imagine two professionals, a freelancer who charges $30 an hour for graphic design, a consultant who charges $5,000 for a brand identity package. The freelancer sells time, the consultant sells value. Even if they both work 10 hours, the difference is massive because one is charging for effort and the other for transformation. Clients don't really want hours, they want results. They want clarity, confidence, momentum, growth. The wealthy understand this and position themselves accordingly. How to shift your mindset, even if you're just starting. You might be thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not a business owner or expert. I'm just trying to survive. That's okay. You don't have to be rich to start thinking like the rich. Here are 3 shifts you can make today. Stop asking, what do I get paid for? And start asking, what problem do I solve? Whether you work in a coffee shop or a corporation, start seeing yourself as a solution provider, not just a worker. Look for leverage. Is there a way to turn your skills into something scalable? A course, a product, a system. Even small steps matter. Focus on outcomes in your current role. If you're an employee, don't just meet the requirements. Exceed them. Bring ideas. Solve issues. People who focus on outcomes rise faster and earn more. Final thought. The poor and middle class often ask, how much will you pay me per hour? But the wealthy ask, what result are you trying to achieve? And how valuable is that to you? That one shift, from time to value, from effort to impact, is the beginning of every wealth story you've ever heard. Ready to unlock the next mindset that separates the wealthy from the rest? Let's move on to mindset number 2. Learn to earn. Why knowledge alone isn't enough. Mindset number 2. Learn to earn. Why knowledge alone isn't enough. You've heard the saying, knowledge is power. But the truth is, knowledge is only potential power. Applied knowledge, the kind that gets used, tested, refined, and monetized, that's where real power begins. The wealthy know this. They don't just collect information, they convert it. They turn what they know into what they earn. That's why this second mindset is so vital. The rich don't just learn for learning's sake, they learn to earn. The information overload trap. We're living in the age of information. Millions of free videos, books, blogs, and courses are available at your fingertips. But ironically, most people are still broke, not because they don't know, but because they don't act. They watch 100 YouTube videos, but never start a side hustle. They read 5 books on investing, but never open a brokerage account. They attend workshops, but go back to the same habits on Monday. It's not a knowledge problem. It's an execution problem. It's a mindset problem. What the wealthy do differently. The wealthy approach learning like a sniper, not a sponge. They don't try to learn everything. They don't get distracted by shiny topics or endless theory. Instead, they ask 3 key questions before consuming anything. How can this knowledge increase my income or freedom? Where will I apply this within the next 7 days? And can this help me solve a real-world problem I care about? They prioritize learning that builds skills,
learning that solves problems, learning that translates into action. That's why a self-made millionaire who dropped out of college can outperform a PhD in economics, because one is learning to win. The other is just learning to learn. Real-world example, Warren Buffett and the $100,000 book. Warren Buffett once said the best investment he ever made was a $100 Dale Carnegie course on public speaking. Not stocks, not real estate. Communication. Because he knew that the ability to speak clearly would 10x his value in any business environment. Today, that $100 skill has earned him billions. That's learning to earn. 3 ways to shift into the wealth learning mindset. Be outcome-driven in what you study. Don't read a book unless it helps you solve a current challenge or improve a real skill. You don't need interesting knowledge. You need useful knowledge. Act immediately on one thing you've learned. Apply something within 24 to 48 hours. Execution cements learning and builds confidence. Invest in transformation, not just information. Courses, coaches, masterminds. The rich don't hesitate to pay for learning that gives them a return. They see education as an asset, not an expense. A simple test. If you look back at the last 30 days of your learning, the books, podcasts, videos, how much of it actually changed your behavior? How much of it impacted your income? If the answer is not much, you're in the information trap, not the wealth mindset. Final thought. Most people consume knowledge like entertainment. The rich consume knowledge like oxygen. Vital, strategic, and directly tied to their goals. The difference between a wealthy learner and a broke learner. One asks, how fast can I apply this? The other asks, what's next on Netflix? Coming up next, mindset number 3. Problems are profits. How the wealthy turn pain into opportunity.
Mindset number 3. Problems are profits. How the wealthy turn pain into opportunity. There's one truth the wealthy understand better than anyone else. Every problem is a money-making opportunity in disguise. Most people run from problems. They complain about them. They avoid them. They wait for someone else to fix them. But the rich, they run toward problems because they know that wherever there's pain, there's profit. The common mindset: avoid problems at all costs. In school, we were taught to avoid mistakes, to color inside the lines, to play it safe. That programming stuck. So when life throws real-world challenges, broken systems, inefficiencies, unmet needs, most people sigh and say, that's just how it is. But entrepreneurs, creators, investors, they lean in and say, wait, what if I solved this? And that's where money begins to flow. The wealthy don't look for comfort, they look for brokenness. The world rewards problem solvers. Think about it. Uber solved the problem of unreliable taxis. Airbnb solved the problem of expensive hotels. Amazon solved the problem of slow, limited shopping. YouTube solved the problem of expensive video distribution. Every one of those companies was built on frustration, on inconvenience, on problems. And the people who solved them, they got wealthy. A mental reframe you need today. Poor and middle-class mindsets see problems as threats. The wealthy see problems as signals. To them, every complaint is market research. Every inefficiency is a door. Every frustration is a gap to be filled. They don't ask, why is this so hard? They ask, how can I make this easier for myself and others and charge for it? Real-life story, Sara Blakely and Spanx. Sara Blakely, founder of Spanx, became the youngest self-made female billionaire. How? She had a simple problem. She didn't like how her clothes fit. She wanted undergarments that smoothed things out, but they didn't exist yet. Instead of complaining, she created a solution. She didn't just solve her own pain, she solved it for millions of women. That's the key. Your pain isn't unique. If you solve it, others will pay you for it. How you can adopt this mindset. You don't need $1 million idea. You just need to train your brain to notice problems and think solution first. Here's how. Start paying attention to what annoys you. Is something taking longer than it should? Is there a step you repeat every day that could be automated? Do others complain about the same issue? Document what others hate doing. People will pay gladly to avoid tasks they despise: cleaning, editing, organizing, scheduling, planning, etc. Ask, what's the emotional pain behind the problem? People don't just pay to save time, they pay to feel peace, relief, pride, confidence. That's what you're really solving. Final thought. If you spend your life avoiding problems, you'll spend your life avoiding wealth. But if you rewire your mind to chase problems, to become obsessed with solving them, you'll never run out of ways to earn. The rich don't get rich because life is easier for them. They get rich because they solve harder things and they get paid for it. Up next, mindset number 4. Invest, don't just save. Why the wealthy treat investing as a responsibility, not a luxury.
Mindset number 4. Invest, don't just save. Why the wealthy treat investing as a responsibility, not a luxury. Most people are taught from a young age to save money. Put something away for a rainy day. Don't spend what you don't need. Build your savings account. And that's good advice, but only up to a point. Because here's the truth. The wealthy don't just save money, they invest it. And to them, investing isn't optional. It's not something you do later. It's a duty, a non-negotiable, a way of life. Saving alone is a trap. Saving is safe. It feels responsible. It gives people a sense of control. But there's a hidden problem. Saving alone will never build wealth. Why? Because inflation erodes your money's value every year. Savings accounts offer almost zero growth. You can only save so much out of a limited income. You can't shrink your way to wealth. You must grow it. And growth requires investment. The wealthy understand the power of compound growth. Albert Einstein once called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. The rich take that seriously. They know that $1,000 saved equals $1,000 in 10 years. But $1,000 invested with an 8% return equals $21,589 in 10 years. And if repeated over decades, the difference is millions. That's not a luxury, that's a mathematical certainty. The rich don't just save for emergencies, they invest for freedom. They make their money work so they don't have to. Research, the middle-class mindset. I'll invest when I have extra. This is one of the biggest lies holding people back. I'll invest when I have more money. But the truth is, if you don't invest $100, you won't invest $10,000. Because investing is a mindset, not a number. The rich don't wait until they're wealthy to invest. They became wealthy because they started investing early, consistently, and even when it was uncomfortable. Real-life example, Ronald Read, the janitor millionaire. Ronald was a janitor and gas station attendant in Vermont. He lived modestly, never made more than an average salary. Yet when he died, he left behind over $8 million in investments. How? He invested a portion of his paycheck for decades. He stayed consistent. He never tried to time the market. He let compound interest do the heavy lifting. If a janitor can become a millionaire through investing, what's your excuse? 3 rules the rich follow when it comes to investing. Invest first, spend what's left, not the other way around. This one rule changes everything.
They treat investing like rent or food essential. Start with what you have, not what you wish you had. Whether it's $50 or $5,000, the habit matters more than the amount. Think long-term, always. The rich don't chase quick wins. They aim for 10-year growth, not 10-day hype. Final thought. You can either spend your life trading time for money, or you can let your money earn while you sleep. The wealthy choose the second, not because they have more, but because they think differently from the very beginning. Investing isn't risky. Depending on one income source forever is the real risk. Coming next, mindset number 5, long-term thinking. Why the rich play the long game while everyone else looks for quick wins.
Mindset number 5, long-term thinking. Why the rich play the long game while everyone else looks for quick wins. In a world addicted to speed, the rich think in decades. While most people chase fast results, instant gratification, and overnight success stories, the wealthy operate on a different wavelength entirely. They play the long game, always, because they understand one of the most powerful truths of wealth building. Slow success is still success, and it's the kind that actually lasts. Instant gratification trap. We live in an age where you can get a ride in 2 minutes, a package in 1 day, a viral video in 10 seconds, a dopamine hit with 1 swipe. So it's no surprise that when it comes to money, people want fast income, quick ROI, secrets to retire by 30, and results now. But wealth, real, sustainable wealth, doesn't work that way. It's not built on speed. It's built on consistency, discipline, and time. The wealthy think in years, not days. They ask questions like, what can I build over the next 10 years? How can I invest today for a payoff in 2035? What habits will compound into freedom over time? They're not obsessed with what happens this weekend. They're focused on where they'll be in 10 years. Because they know, the longer the timeline, the bigger the reward. A powerful analogy. Bamboo versus grass. Grass grows fast. You see results in days. It looks great quickly, but it also dies quickly. It's shallow, easy to pull up. Bamboo, on the other hand, takes years to grow roots underground. You see almost nothing for a long time, but when it finally breaks the surface, it grows up to 3 feet per day. Wealth is bamboo, not grass. And the rich? They're patient gardeners. Real-life example. Jeff Bezos and the Amazon flywheel. Jeff Bezos didn't build Amazon into a trillion-dollar empire in a year. In fact, Amazon didn't turn a profit for its first 7 years. Why? Because Bezos focused on customer obsession, infrastructure, and scale, not short-term gains. He had a 10 to 20-year vision. Today, that long-term thinking has paid off exponentially. That's the mindset the rich adopt in everything they do, whether it's business, investing, or personal development. How to build a long-term mindset, starting now. Set 10-year goals, not just 10-day goals. Where do you want to be in a decade? Build backwards from that, not forward from this week's paycheck. Automate what matters most. Wealthy people automate savings, investments, and growth habits so they benefit over time without relying on daily willpower. Delay gratification. Skip the quick hit for the long reward. That $500 impulse buy today could be worth $5,000 invested. Why this mindset is rare, but so valuable. Most people can't delay gratification. They want results now. That's why they fall for get-rich-quick schemes, high-interest debt, flashy investments that fizzle out. But the rich, they know that the fast road often leads nowhere, while the slow, steady road leads to wealth and peace of mind. Final thought. If you're always thinking about next week, you'll keep struggling every month.
But if you start thinking about the next decade, you'll begin to move differently today. The rich don't just plan for their next vacation. They plan for their next generation. And that's the difference. Up next, mindset number 6, network is net worth. Why the rich treat relationships like currency.
Mindset number 6, network is net worth. Why the rich treat relationships like currency. We've all heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But the wealthy take that idea even further. To them, networking isn't just a social activity or a career tactic. It's a financial strategy, a growth multiplier, a wealth-building asset. They understand your network isn't just your social circle. It's your greatest source of leverage, opportunity, and long-term wealth. Why most people underestimate relationships? Most people think networking means passing out business cards at events, making small talk at boring parties, sending cold messages on LinkedIn. But the wealthy know that real networking is about creating value for others, building genuine trust, and staying connected even when you don't need anything. They play the long game with people just like they do with money. How relationships translate into wealth. Here's what the rich know that most overlook. People open doors money can't. A single introduction can lead to life-changing business deals, funding, partnerships, or insights. One relationship can collapse years of trial and error. Access is more powerful than ownership. You don't need to own all the knowledge, skills, or capital. You just need access to those who do, and that comes through your network. Social capital compounds like financial capital. The more trust and goodwill you build, the more opportunities come to you, often without asking. The wealthy ask, who knows me, and what do they think of me? Middle-class thinking focuses on credentials. Wealthy thinking focuses on reputation. They don't just try to meet more people. They focus on being remembered well by the right people. They ask, who would vouch for me when I'm not in the room? Who would recommend me for a big opportunity? What do the top 5 people in my circle believe about my character? Because a trusted name can be more valuable than a high-paying job. Real-life example, Oprah Winfrey and strategic relationships. Oprah's net worth isn't just from her talent. It's from the empire she built through deep, long-lasting relationships with producers, authors, entrepreneurs, and media giants. She elevated others and in return was elevated herself. She gave value first, often for years before asking for anything in return. That's the rich mindset. Your network grows when you give, not just when you need. How to build a high-value network, even if you're starting from scratch. Be curious, not transactional. Don't network to get something. Start by asking smart questions, listening deeply, and learning about others' goals and pain points. Give value before asking. Share a helpful article. Make a relevant introduction. Offer feedback. Even a small gesture builds goodwill. Stay in touch strategically. A quick check-in, a birthday message, or a congratulatory note goes a long way. Relationships grow through consistency. Be the person people want to recommend. Keep your word. Be dependable. Over-deliver. Your reputation builds your network faster than any DM ever could. Final thought.
Your wealth will rarely exceed the quality of your relationships. You can have all the skills, ideas, and ambition in the world, but without people, you'll move slow, stay small, and miss the biggest doors. The poor chase jobs. The middle class chase credentials. The wealthy build networks, because they know that people are the real capital. Coming next, mindset number 7. Play to win, not just to survive. Why playing it safe keeps you small.
Mindset number 7. Play to win, not just to survive. Why playing it safe keeps you small. Most people don't realize this, but they're playing life on defense. They're not trying to thrive, they're just trying to survive. Their goals sound like, I just want to pay the bills. I just want a stable job. I just want to be comfortable. But the wealthy, they don't play to survive, they play to win. And that single shift from safety to strategy, from survival to significance, is what sets them apart. Survival thinking versus growth thinking. Let's break it down. Survival thinking says, what's the safest path? How can I avoid failure? What's the minimum I need to get by? Wealth thinking says, what's the most strategic risk I can take? How can I build something bigger than myself? What does winning actually look like, and how do I reverse engineer it? The difference is massive. Survival thinking keeps you stuck in low-paying jobs, average relationships, and small dreams. Winning thinking pushes you to build, lead, expand, and elevate. Why most people default to safety? It's not because they're lazy, it's because they've been programmed. Society teaches, get a safe degree, find a secure job. Stick to what you know. Don't rock the boat. Don't aim too high, you might fail. But the rich learn something different. Playing it safe is the riskiest move in the long run, because safe jobs can vanish, stable industries can collapse, and secure incomes rarely build freedom. What playing to win actually looks like? It doesn't mean being reckless, it means being bold and strategic. The rich take calculated risks, bet on their abilities, launch businesses, negotiate hard, speak up when others stay silent, say yes to challenges others avoid. They don't aim for just enough, they aim for abundance, impact, and legacy. Because they know the game of life rewards those who play to win. Real-world example, Elon Musk and risk stacking. In 2008, Elon Musk was broke. He had poured his PayPal fortune into Tesla and SpaceX. Both companies were on the brink of collapse. He could have walked away and played it safe. Instead, he doubled down. He risked his last $20 million to keep both alive. Most people would have folded. He played to win. Today, those risks are worth hundreds of billions of dollars. It wasn't luck, it was bold thinking. It was the refusal to settle for just surviving. How you can shift into a play-to-win mindset. Stop asking, what's safe? Start asking, what's possible? Shift your internal compass. Aim higher than just comfortable. Define what winning means to you. Is it freedom? Impact? Building something lasting? Get clear, because clarity creates courage. Train your risk tolerance. Take small, bold actions daily. Pitch the client, start the side hustle, publish the idea. The more you practice boldness, the less fear controls you. Build conviction, not just confidence. Confidence wavers, conviction lasts. Know your values, your mission, your why, and let that fuel your moves. Final thought. The reason most people stay stuck isn't because they're not talented. It's because they never dare to play the real game. Playing not to lose is how you survive. Playing to win is how you lead, build wealth, and change the world. Coming up next, mindset number 8, systems over goals. Why the rich build processes, not just targets. Mindset number 8, systems over goals. Why the rich build processes, not just targets. Everyone sets goals. I want to make 6 figures. I want to be financially free. I want to save $50,000. I want to start my own business. But here's the cold truth. Goals don't build wealth. Systems do. The rich understand this. They don't just set goals, they build systems that make those goals inevitable. Because they know, a goal is a destination. A system is how you actually get there. Consistently, repeatedly, automatically. Why goals are overrated. Goals feel exciting. They're inspiring, motivating. They look great on vision boards. But goals have a fatal flaw. They rely on willpower, they have no built-in plan, and they disappear the moment life gets hard. You've seen it. New Year's resolutions abandoned by February. Big savings goals forgotten after one bad month. Ambitious business ideas that never make it past the idea stage. That's because goals alone are hopes. Systems, on the other hand, are habits with structure. The wealthy build routines that print results. The wealthy don't just say, I want to build wealth. They design automated routines, rules, and environments that produce wealth even when they're not trying. For example, auto-investing automatically every month, not waiting until there's extra money. Blocking deep work time every morning, not just hoping to be productive. Tracking key numbers weekly, not glancing at them once a year. Delegating low-impact tasks, not trying to do everything themselves. They know that discipline fades, but systems last. Real-life example, James Clear and Atomic Habits. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, made a fortune teaching this exact principle. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's what the wealthy live by. They build a life where wealth is the byproduct of well-designed habits and processes. Why systems matter more than motivation. Motivation is temporary. Willpower gets drained. But a good system? It reduces friction. It makes good choices easier. It runs even on bad days. For example, if your goal is to save money, motivation might help you skip a coffee. But a system, like auto-transferring 10% of your income into a separate account, does the saving without asking for your permission every day. That's wealth thinking. How to build wealth systems? No matter where you start? Automate good decisions. Auto-invest. Auto-save. Auto-track. Remove friction from doing the right thing. Design your environment for success. Surround yourself with high-performance peers. Limit distractions. Make your workspace serve your goals. Create a daily rhythm. Morning routines for focus. Weekly reviews for clarity. Monthly reflections for adjustment. Use checklists, templates, and workflows. The rich don't rely on memory. They use systems that save time and reduce mistakes. Final thought. Anyone can set a goal. The broke do it every New Year. But the rich, they engineer their days, habits, and environments so that wealth is the natural outcome. Goals set the vision. Systems deliver the results. And once your systems are working, you no longer have to chase success. You live inside it. Coming up next, mindset number 9. Control emotions, control wealth. Why emotional mastery is a financial superpower.
Mindset number 9. Control emotions, control wealth. Why emotional mastery is a financial superpower. Money is not just math. Yes, it involves numbers, percentages, and logical decisions. But if logic were enough, everyone would be rich. We wouldn't panic sell our stocks. We wouldn't overspend when we're sad. We wouldn't avoid opportunities out of fear. But we do, because money is emotional. And the wealthy know, if you don't control your emotions will control your money. Why emotions are the hidden saboteur. Think about the last big financial mistake you made. Was it really because you didn't know better? Or was it because you got scared, got impatient, tried to keep up with others,
felt overwhelmed or guilty or ashamed. That's what emotion does. It hijacks logic. It overrides strategy. It turns smart people into irrational ones. The rich understand this, and they train themselves to master their emotions before making financial decisions. Emotional intelligence is financial intelligence. Most people think wealth is about IQ, but in reality, it's about EQ, emotional intelligence. The rich practice delayed gratification, emotional detachment from losses, patience during uncertainty, calm under pressure. They can sit still when others are rushing, hold their ground when others are panicking, say no to things that feel good but aren't good long term. This isn't coldness, it's discipline, built over time with intention. Real life lesson: market crashes and investor panic. When the stock market crashes, most people panic sell. They see red, feel fear, and flee. The rich, they stay calm or even buy more because they know the market moves in cycles. They know fear is temporary, and they don't let emotion dictate action. That's how they buy low when others are running. That's how they build wealth when everyone else is losing it. How to build emotional mastery around money. Create distance between feeling and action. When emotions spike, wait 24 hours before making financial decisions. Don't check your investments when you're angry or anxious. Use written rules for decision-making. Predetermine your if this then that rules. For example, if my portfolio drops 20%, I hold, not sell. Build rituals that regulate emotion. Morning routines, journaling, walking, prayer, meditation, anything that calms your nervous system will also protect your wallet. Treat money as a game, not your identity. Don't let net worth equal self-worth. The less emotional attachment you have to money, the smarter your decisions become. Money doesn't just test your intellect. It tests your patience, your resilience, your emotional control. If you can't hold your emotions, you won't hold your wealth. The rich don't have fewer emotions. They've just trained themselves to respond, not react. And that's one of the greatest financial powers on earth. Up next, mindset number 10. Ownership is the endgame. Why the rich focus on assets, not just income.
Mindset number 10. Ownership is the end game. Why the rich focus on assets, not just income. If there's one idea that separates the rich from the rest more than any other, it's this. The rich don't chase income. They chase ownership. Most people are stuck on the treadmill of earning. How much do I make per hour? What's my monthly paycheck? How can I increase my salary? But the wealthy? They're not asking how much they earn. They're asking how much they own. Because they know ownership is where true freedom, power, and wealth live. Dollar, income feeds you. Ownership frees you. Earning money through a job is good. It puts food on the table, covers bills, and builds security. But earning alone is a fragile game. You can lose your job. Your salary can be capped. Your time is always limited. Ownership, on the other hand, gives you leverage, passive income, equity that grows without you working. The rich understand this, and they move toward ownership in every area of life. What do the rich actually own? Businesses. They don't just work in businesses, they own them. Even a small percentage of equity can be worth more than years of salary. Real estate. Rental income, appreciation, tax advantages. Property builds wealth in multiple ways. Investments. Stocks, ETFs, funds, they buy pieces of other people's companies. Intellectual property. Books, patents, digital products, anything that continues to pay them long after the work is done. Systems, automation, teams, technology, assets that work even when they're sleeping. The psychological shift from laborer to owner. Most people are trained to think like laborers. I do a task, I get paid. The wealthy think like owners. I build an asset. It pays me again and again. This shift requires long-term thinking, delayed gratification, and sometimes taking less money now to earn more later. But it's the only mindset that leads to freedom, not just survival. Real-life example, Rihanna's billion-dollar move. Rihanna made millions as a pop star, but she became a billionaire not from music, but from owning her own Fenty Beauty brand. She didn't just promote someone else's product, she built her own. That's the power of ownership. You move from being paid once to being paid for life. How to start thinking like an owner. Ask, what can I own in every opportunity? Even if you're working for someone else, can you negotiate equity? Can you build your own thing on the side? Turn your skills into scalable products. Write, record, design, teach, create assets that live beyond you. Invest regularly and strategically. Own shares in companies. Let your money earn money. Say no to short-term pay if it blocks long-term freedom. The faster dollar is not always the smarter dollar. Final thought. Working for money is where most people start. Owning money is where the wealthy finish. If you don't own assets, you'll always be renting your time. And as long as time is your only income stream, freedom will always feel just out of reach. But when you own the game, you stop playing by other people's rules. 10 money mindsets that can reshape your entire financial future. We've just walked through 10 mindsets that shape how the wealthy think, and more importantly, how they live, earn, and grow. And if there's one thing you take away from this entire video, let it be this. Wealth isn't about luck, genetics, or privilege. It's about how you think, and how you think can change, starting today. Let's recap the 10 money mindsets that separate the wealthy from the rest. Value over time. They get paid for impact, not hours. Learn to earn. They consume knowledge they can convert. Problems are profits. They run toward pain, not away from it. Invest, don't just save. They grow money, not just hoard it. Long-term thinking. They plant seeds now for trees they may not sit under. Network is net worth. They treat relationships like assets. Play to win. They don't play it safe. They play it smart and big. Systems over goals. They build machines, not just dreams. Emotional mastery. They act with clarity, not impulse. Ownership is the end game. They don't rent life, they own it. Now, here's the truth. You don't need a rich family, an Ivy League degree, or a Silicon Valley startup to think this way. You don't need $1 million in your bank account to adopt these mindsets. What you need is a decision, a shift, a commitment to stop thinking like the crowd and start thinking like the wealthy. Because once your mind upgrades, your income will follow, your network will grow, your actions will align, and your future will no longer be defined by your past. This isn't a one-time motivation, it's a daily practice. Thinking like the rich isn't a moment, it's a muscle. You strengthen it by choosing long-term over short-term, building instead of consuming, investing when it's uncomfortable, solving problems instead of avoiding them, saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what matters. Day by day, thought by thought, you shift your identity, you build your freedom, you become unstoppable. Final words. If you're still watching, it means you're ready. Not just to earn more, but to think differently, act intentionally, and build a life of true financial independence. The world needs more people who don't just chase money, but understand it, respect it, and use it as a tool to serve others and live fully. And that starts with you. The rich aren't special, they're just trained. Now, so are you. Go build, go own, go lead. This is Wealth Wisdom Daily, reminding you that wealth is built first in your mind, then in your life.